have given us a good reputation. Lots of screaming, lots of violence going on there. Waiting room, cannibalism, I think's on there.
Have you ever wondered what it takes to put together a theatre show in university? Today we have two students from the University of Melbourne walking us through their experience of putting together a play. I've already done a video with them that you can watch here, where they talk us through the conception of the idea, how the story came about, and everything that you can think of bringing an idea to life. In this video, we are going to be talking about some of the technical sides of putting together a show. From production to working together with the director, with the writer, with the actors, to hiring the actors, to thinking of the props and how it helps, and we'll also throw in some advice from them for future theatre artists. This is the 5th video in my student interview series. I hope you enjoy.
Tell us what The Last Supper is actually about.
There's been a referendum and the country's basically decided it's not worth continuing. So the play is following this really troubled family basically after their country has voted to destroy itself by a nuclear bomb. So one family is facing imminent death and they're having a final dinner together. However, lots of underlying resentments come out and we see a lot of chaos ensue. Is there anything else I missed?
No, that about sums it up. I guess this question would be more for you. Obviously, you can jump in. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced in bringing The Last Supper to the stage, especially in terms of staging, effects, and managing the play's intense emotional and physical demands?
Other than having 6 weeks to stage an entirely new show, which is a challenge in and of itself.
Also, the fact that the set is a dinner table. We don't move outside of the domestic sphere for the entire play.
I think, like Lizzie brought up, the fact that it's a single setting, we don't change rooms, we don't change, the set stays exactly the same throughout the entire course of the play. I think that brings up issues on how to keep everything moving and interesting. So it's like playing with dynamics, playing with silence and sound, and then stillness and movement, and just like ensuring that the play keeps going and stays interesting. So yeah, I think that was a struggle, or not necessarily a struggle, but a challenge, and the actors definitely helped us with that, for sure.
Absolutely. And I think also there's a lot of emotional highs. There's lots of tense emotions, lots of screaming, lots of violence going on there. So to be able to balance that and make sure it's not just constantly people screaming at each other and fighting at each other's throats is another thing.
Also like violence and vulnerability.
Yes.
There's so many like contrasting themes in it. Yeah, and I think that makes it very interesting and dynamic.
So this is sort of a spicy question.
Ooh.
We have your partner away. We need all the tea.
Okay.
Describe the collaborative process between you as a director and the writer in shaping the final version of the play.
I will say, very luckily, there has been very little, if any, disagreement. So I feel like that's a testament to, as soon as I read the script, I felt like I had a very clear vision of what Lizzie was going for, and then that was confirmed by her when we were working together.
How did you balance creative visions and practical considerations?
We were actually working as co-directors. I've directed before, Lizzie hasn't, but she had created such an amazing work that working collaboratively was just like a given. The creative visions really just coalesced, and all of my conceptual ideas were very much taken on, and vice versa. So it was really quite drama-free. I'm very, very glad. Yeah.
So basically your collaboration was nothing like the play?
No, it was very different. I mean, I think Lizzie might say something different. I hope not.
Terrible. But my co-director, awful.
As the writer, how did you feel about the collaborative process with watching your creative piece, your baby come to life in someone else's hand?
Terrible. But my co-director, awful. So many conflicts, we're yelling, arguing, the whole play's based, no. She's been incredible, of course. And I've never directed before, so I did have a go at directing my own sort of play, which was good because I had a very strong vision of what I wanted for this one, but at the same time, it is definitely hard to let your baby go and watch
someone else
and watch different interpretations. But yeah, Olivia and I have been very, very much on the same page, which has just been great. She brings so many fantastic ideas to the stage and things I don't even think about, like where should we have the movement of the character in the background, and I was like, I completely forgot about them. So yeah, she's done a great job, and I'm just so grateful that I've had a great mentor there to teach me how to direct.
And to get to work so closely with the writer of the work has been amazing, because there was no debate as to what the intention was. I could always just ask. And that was it. Yeah. Maybe it's biased to say, I think we've worked really well together.
Since you worked as a co-director, do you think it made it easier to let go of what you created rather than just hold on to every little thing and not be receptive to changes, as opposed to if you were just the writer and not involved in the direction process?
I definitely think so. If I wasn't able to kind of have that directorial vision in there, I think I would have struggled a little bit, just because as a writer, you can't help but get attached to your work. I spent weeks, months on this, and I have a very strong vision of what I wanted for it. So this way, I was able to still collaborate, and we were able to mold our creative visions together rather than me coming in after and throwing a hissy fit or whatever, which I'm sure would have happened because Olivia's fantastic.
Do you think your experience as a co-director has equipped you with writing a play? The next time you write it, you consider more things about how it's going to be on the stage? Like you said, you forgot about the background characters.
No, absolutely. I think at one point in the script, an earlier version at least, there was a scene where somebody picks up a wine bottle and drinks from it twice. It was repetitive and confusing, and being co-director with Olivia has given me so much more insight into how the stage works, how actors need to work, if they need breaks, how their movement across the stage will be perceived, and if it gets dry after a while. So I think it'll definitely influence my next play if I get around to it. Wow.
What qualities were you looking for in the actors to portray such complex characters facing the end of the world? Because even when they're joking, you need this underlying sense of doom happening. How did the cast influence the development of the characters?
I will say it's maybe not the most helpful answer, but in the audition room, I just got gut feelings about every single one of them. And then with our lead, Sophia, she actually sent in a video, and we were very intrigued. And then as soon as I saw her in person, I got that gut feeling. And so, honestly, that's it. I just knew, I knew what I knew.
Yeah,
What do you think?
Well, each of the characters are almost like a caricature. They're very intense and they have a sort of dominant emotion or perhaps a dominant characteristic. So being able to actually show the human element underneath this caricature was the main thing we were looking for, because it was really easy just to go in there, guns are blazing, screaming, crying, throwing up. But if you were able to show that these are, well, they're supposed to be real people and they have reasons behind what they're doing, that was what we were looking for.
Yeah, it's a fine line.
Yeah.
Because I mean, not to quote my own director's statement, but it is very much like you see that like all humans have flaws and all archetypes have humanity.
Yeah.
Like there's always this duality. It's not just a simple pantomime, which I think gets a bit old after a little while. Like there's depth to everyone.
And also, speaking of that gut feeling, that was actually quite difficult in terms of the writer-director dynamic, because sometimes I would just write things and there was a gut instinct for me writing it, and then Olivia would be like, why did you do this? And I was like, oh, it's kind of hard to describe.
Yeah, and even that isn't like, oh, that was a wrong decision. As a director, it's like very much about intention. So I wanted to know, as the writer, as my co-director, what was the intention behind this so that we can convey it on stage.
Yes.
So yeah.
Now this is more about future directions. Anyone mentions future, I'm like, no, I know about it, they're so quick, but now I'm gonna ask.
Yes.
Following The Last Supper, are there themes or concepts from this play that you're interested in exploring further in your work?
I really like it when plays are very shocking. I like it when they're quite crazy and radical. So I definitely have tossed around. In fact, I've got a little notes app open up on my computer for future ideas which I can kind of bounce on. And so far, it's just got like waiting room, cannibalism, I think's on there. And then also something to do with like more violence. So I really like those crazy things. Escalation. I was thinking it might be something interesting with that.
I love that too, so hit me up.
Absolutely. Olivia?
In terms of me, I think I'm just really looking forward to getting to work with very character-based plays again, because my background's in acting. I started out in acting and then sort of forayed into direction. And so I'm very interested in character and working with the actors, and especially because all the characters are so distinct and dynamic. I'm really looking forward to just continuing on with that sort of character development aspect.
And actually something else which kind of just occurred to me is I kind of want to look at relationships in the digital age, and especially looking at like how no one really talks to each other anymore, how we've got this like disintegration of like even like romantic relationships and Gen Z's kind of fear of like commitment due to like things like online dating apps and stuff. So I would really like to explore that in a future play. Maybe it'll be in the waiting room with cannibalism. We'll see.
Guess who's hoping to get hired for another job?
Maybe this time I can be involved a bit sooner than the life phase. Finally, what advice would you give to students and emerging artists who want to create impactful theatre? Maybe cannibalism, maybe not. Especially on challenging or controversial topics.
Do it.
Yeah, just
That's what I have to say. Do it.
absolutely.
Why not?
And also, I feel like people watching this probably think I'm a bit odd now that I've thrown out all of those strange themes out there. But I think it's just something. Give it a go. You never know. Like I have this script sitting on my laptop for 6 months or so. I never thought it would ever be developed. I would never see it stage, and just to see so many incredible people putting their time and effort into it has been genuinely a dream. So I think give it a go. You never know what's going to happen. So absolutely.
Also, theater is just such a great way to meet people and have a community. I reckon
Absolutely.
it's worth getting involved in, regardless.
Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video.